Welcome to Practical Thoughts channel. In this video we discuss the main factors that determine human thought and behavior. Let us first review an interesting observation. A pair of identical twins, Jim Lewis and Jim Springs, were separated and raised in two different families after they were born. They only met after 39 years. When they met, they were all 6 feet tall and 180 pounds in weight. Surprisingly, they both got married twice. Both their ex-wife's name is Linda, and now their wife's name is Betty. Both have a son and both children have the same name. They both loved keeping dogs when they were young, and their names were both called dog toys. They both smoked the same brand of cigarettes and both drank Miller Lite beer. After meeting with the above-mentioned two people, these researchers believed that although identical twins grew up in different environments, there was no difference between their similarities in growing together. This case makes us think that genes not only determine a person's appearance, but also determine a person's behavior and human nature. A British biologist compared 35 pairs of identical twins who were born alike with 20 pairs of twins who were not alike. With the current definition, the former is 100% genetically identical because it is formed by the division of the same egg after fertilization, so it is also called a monozygote. The latter is a fraternal twin. Only 50% of the genes are the same, because two different eggs are fertilized and grow on the same placenta, so it is also called a dizygote. Galton's conclusion based on the comparison is, the same egg twins, from childhood to adult, look the same. Not only do they look like this, but their personalities, talents, interests, and occupations are all the same. Galton's conclusion is still correct. The applied research methods include twin method and adoption method. Its design requires distinguishing the influence of genetics and the environment on human behavior. Two people who were born genetically similar are raised in two completely different environments. Their similarity is genetically dictated and has nothing to do with the environment. On the contrary, if two people who were born genetically different are adopted and raised in the same family, their similarity in the future is due to the environment and has nothing to do with heredity. Human character, temperament, ability, and mental disorders are all affected by genes. The role of genetics is indeed very large, affecting most of the differences between 30% and 70% of human beings, and its effects are not affected by society and culture. During these long years, scholars have studied genes in a wide range, from friendly personality to illegal behavior, from disease to bedwetting, from marriage to employment. The only traits that humans are not subject to genetics seem to be those acquired through learning, such as a certain language spoken by a person and a certain religion one believes in. Nowadays, the purpose of research is to find out special genes, and to know how genes cause individual differences between people and their effects on the brain. The general approach is to find out special genes, that is, a certain DNA. The variation of molecular bases, and the relationship between it and a certain related behavior and personality, or a direct comparison of the coding and regulation sequence of this variant gene. In studying the relationship between genes and behavior, the brain must be used as an intermediary to see the real and significant effects. Another example is that when MAOA and colleagues added environmental influence factors when studying the diversity of the promoter of this gene, they found that this gene is related to human aggressiveness and impulsivity, which was not found before. Anyone who has low activity of this gene and has been abused in childhood shows a serious tendency towards antisocial and criminality. Human behavior and the brain network that dominates behavior are undoubtedly formed and produced by the intricate combination of many genes through development and the environment. This is something that all scholars who study behavioral genetics must consider. In the study of behavioral genetics, there are three key links, that is, the interaction between the brain, the environment, and the gene network, all of which are indispensable. Not only the brain, but also environmental factors are included in the procedures and processes of human behavior. Based on these considerations to explore the genes that affect human behavior, you will get twice the result with half the effort. In addition, it is worth mentioning the interaction between genetics and environment. This interaction occurs in early childhood and lasts a lifetime as a process. The most notable are the following three special interactions. First, the same environment has different effects on individuals with different genetic makeup. For example, the same behavior of anxious parents affects irritable and insensitive children and antipathy. Calm, sensitive children will have different effects. Second, individuals with different genetic structures may evoke different environmental responses. For example, the parental response evoked by an irritable and withdrawn child may be different from the parental response evoked by a quiet, responsive child. The third is that individuals with different genetic structures will seek, change, and create different environments. Every situation has the interaction of nature and education, heredity and environment. People can improve their behavior through learning, and they can also change many inherited habits, such as anger, etc., can be changed. Another thing that can grow with age is spiritual belief. People with spiritual beliefs are mostly enthusiastic, altruistic, open-minded, and have positive emotions. They are more kind, friendly, generous, optimistic, and happier. These are more common among the elderly. Personality is composed of two parts, nature and habits. Nature and habits are controlled by two different parts of the brain, so the results expressed are different. The nature of personality comes from heredity and is controlled by genes, while the habit comes from learning and is controlled by the environment. The nature of human nature is animal nature. The essence remains unchanged, and the changed part is the cultural nature of human nature. In terms of human nature, the proportions of the two are different for different age levels. Generally speaking, human nature is good, personality is the core, and habits are the coat. Personality is the same, nature is the core, and habits are the coat. In growth and towards perfection. One of the most exciting directions in personality genetics research is to use molecular genetics to find and discover specific genes that have a genetic influence on personality. The formation of personality, in addition to environmental factors, is the product of most genes. As Practical Thoughts channel mentioned in a previous video, two genes have been identified as influencing personality, namely DRD4 and MAOA genes. These two genes are currently the most frequently studied. Moreover, since DRD4 was first discovered to be associated with personality, there have been numerous reports on its negative and positive results. Generally speaking, most researchers believe that DRD4 is related to novelty seeking. Both DRD4 and MAOA are included in the genes that affect personality described in this book. Scholars found 124 college students to test the relationship between the length of their DRD4 and the search for novelty. They found this relationship: the longer the DRD4, the higher the person's desire to seek a new opposite sex. Because people with longer DRD4 genes have a lower response to dopamine, they need to have an almost adventurous spirit to pursue them in order to achieve the same dopamine effect as those with short genes. The expression of MAOA gene depends on the cooperation of environmental factors. Changes in a DNA sequence can lead to changes in a person's personality. The change of a single base in DNA can lead to a change in a person's personality. The different genes that people have an impact on personality far more than the different families or environments that people live in. Our channel considers some interesting questions from the perspectives of social engineering, personality psychology, logic, statistics, genetics, and so on. We hope you enjoy the Practical Thoughts channel. By discussing useful knowledge and building consensus, we help each other reduce anxiety, doubts, and unnecessary fears, and improve our ability to defend ourselves when encountering fraud. A broad consensus is an effective guarantee for maintaining a good living environment. You are welcome to share different views. Your support is the biggest motivation for our efforts. Thank you for watching our video.